The 2019 matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers at Heinz Field has so many memorable moments. There was the Steelers running back Jalen Samuels throwing an interception out of the Wildcat to Josh Bynes. There was Mason Rudolph being knocked out cold by Earl Thomas, which was a very scary moment, and then he had to even take off his face mask and keep that helmet on, and he had a striking resemblance to SpongeBob SquarePants when he does karate. The big moment, of course, was when Juju Smith-Schuster and Marlon Humphrey actually had two very similar plays happen in the same game. The very first time, Juju got the best of Marlon Humphrey as he was able to take it all the way in for the touchdown, and the very next time that's pretty much that exact same play happened, Juju Smith-Schuster actually got the ball punched out of his hands, and Marlon Humphrey himself was able to scoop up the ball. What I want to focus on is a player that definitely does not get as much appreciation as he absolutely should, not only from the NFL in general, but also from the Ravens fan base specifically. It is, of course, Justin Tucker, aka Automat Tuck. I'd like to argue that if it wasn't for Justin Tucker, the Ravens would not have come out on top in this game. You see, when this game went into overtime, the Steelers actually won the toss, and they actually opted to not receive the ball. They decided to kick it off to the Ravens offense. And many people were questioning this move. They're like, why is Tomlin deciding to do this? Why is he kicking the ball off? Well, for one, the Steelers defense was playing spectacularly that day, and the Ravens offense was not yet at its peak of the 2019 season yet. See, because at the time, the Ravens were coming off of two losses. They had just lost to the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead, and they had also suffered an embarrassing loss against the Cleveland Browns 40-25. So the Ravens felt like they needed this win, but the Steelers were also in a similar predicament. They had just lost Ben Roethlisberger a couple weeks prior, and they were sitting at 1-3 going into this game. So why did Mike Tomlin choose to kick the ball off instead of receiving the ball in overtime? Well, when he was asked about this decision after the game, this is what he had to say.
Did you see our kickoff return in this football game? Did you see their kickoff team? Every time they put the ball on about the 2-yard line and Tucker hung the ball at about 4.5 seconds and we couldn't get back to the 15. Why would I sign up for that? I put the defense on the field in an effort to fight for field position and put the onus on them to get the stop. So when we got the ball, we got it on the 30-something, which is dramatically different than when our kickoff return team took the field all afternoon.
So you could argue that maybe this is a slight against his special teams, or maybe he was just praising Justin Tucker and the special teams that the Ravens had at the time. So I wanted to go back and just kind of look at what Justin Tucker was doing when it comes to kicking the ball off. From the opening kickoff, Justin Tucker put it in a place that the Steelers return team were only able to get it back to the 11-yard line. Then the next kickoff, it did get returned all the way to the 25-yard line, but there was a holding penalty which got them taken back to the 12. And it's funny because the very next play was the Wildcat formation where Jalen Samuels came out and actually threw an interception to Josh Bynes. Then the next two kickoffs were touchbacks, and then the next one came only to the 15-yard line. So this is what Mike Tomlin saw. He saw that the Ravens special teams and Justin Tucker were just absolutely demolishing the Steelers special teams. So not only was Justin Tucker absolutely destroying the Steelers almost single-handedly, but also he had to make a 48-yard field goal just to send the game into overtime. And of course, ice in his veins, he made it no problem. But then we saw the Steelers win the toss in overtime, and then they deferred, and many people were asking, what are you doing, Mike Tomlin? What is this decision? But again, it ended up working out for them because the defense held. The Steelers offense ended up getting the ball back, and that's when the whole Juju Smith-Schuster fumble happened. Marlon Humphrey scooped it up. Lamar Jackson was able to do just enough to get them into field goal range. And then what happens? Justin Tucker, the man, comes on the field, and he says, I am finishing this game, and I am going to do it with style. A 46-yard field goal made to win the game as the ball was sailing just slightly to the left, as you could see Steelers fans celebrating, thinking that Justin Tucker was going to miss a game-winning kick. But it did not happen. Justin Tucker said, watch this, and the ball went directly up the middle into the uprights. Justin Tucker was a monster that day and won the game for the Baltimore Ravens against their bitter rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Ravens would then move on to not lose a single regular season game after that, as they had gone 14-2 and were arguably the best team in the NFL after that, until the playoffs started, but we don't got to talk about that. And then the Steelers moved on to actually do pretty well. They ended up going 7-4. But they had to win the last game in Week 17, funnily enough, against the Baltimore Ravens just to make it into the playoffs. And what happened? They screwed the pooch. They didn't even do well. It was 28-10 with RG3 and the Ravens second stringers starting there. And of course, I will continue to bring this up as long as I can because it's one of the favorite games of mine. The fact that the Steelers needed to win that game to make the playoffs, and the Ravens didn't even care about that game, and they still demolished them. The fact of the matter is there has always been historic battles between the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I wanted to highlight the 2019 Week 5 matchup as I believe it's one of the classics that I don't think that a lot of people are talking about. So let me know your thoughts. I know it's kind of slow in the offseason right now. We're just kind of waiting for the draft. We're in that between period between free agency and the draft where nothing is really going on right now. So I figured this is the right time to make this video and tell this story. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments down below. If you have any suggestions about maybe other games that we can recap or talk about again. And of course, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. You guys already know what to do. All my socials are in the description box below. Instagram, Twitter, everything you need to know. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Later.